Welcome to the Federal State Leadership Grant Competition informational webinar. The contents of this webinar complement but do not replace the request for grant application guidelines, which are posted on the Division of Adult Education Grant Competitions webpage. Interested applicants should also carefully read the other resources on the Division of Adult Education Grant Competitions webpage. This is the content of this webinar. I will start out with some context about the Pennsylvania Professional Development System, and then talk about the purpose and priorities for the grants being awarded through this competition. I will then provide details on the application components, review, timeline, and grant notification process. Finally, I will review the requirements for award winners and how to submit a question during the application process. The current Pennsylvania Professional Development System consists of 6 projects that each focus on one aspect of the statewide professional development needs. The projects are designed to work together to provide seamless support to programs. The current professional development system is based on the concept of job-embedded professional development. In this model, professional development is program-based and embedded in classroom practice. Programs have their own in-house instructional leaders that guide professional development in their programs. Professional learning opportunities take many forms, including face-to-face, webinar-based, online on demand, and online facilitated. But the learning doesn't stop at the training level. Professional learning moves into the classroom with support from coaches, consultants, and in-house leaders. To meet the current needs of the field, statutory requirements, and economies of scale, the division has identified 7 priorities for this competition and will fund 1 project for each priority. Title II of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, provides funds to be awarded through the Pennsylvania Department of Education, PDE, Bureau of Post-Secondary and Higher Education, Division of Adult Education, referred to from now on as the division, to provide adult basic and family literacy education services throughout the state. A portion of these funds must be used to support state leadership activities under Section 223 of WIOA. These activities will provide a system of professional development and technical assistance to ensure a high-quality adult basic and family literacy education system in accordance with WIOA and the goals described in the Pennsylvania State Plan. Under this request for grant applications, the maximum total amount available for all state leadership grants is $2,090,000. The goal is to provide high-quality adult education and family literacy programs that lead to student success. The purpose of grants awarded under this funding is to support programs to achieve this goal. The purpose of funds provided under Section 223 of WIOA is to fund the following required adult education and literacy activities to develop or enhance the adult education and family literacy system in Pennsylvania. The alignment of adult education and literacy activities with other core programs and one-stop partners to implement the strategy identified in the Pennsylvania State Plan, including the development of career pathways to provide access to employment and training services for individuals in adult education and literacy activities. 2, the establishment or operation of high-quality professional development programs to improve the instruction provided and dissemination of information about models and promising practices related to such programs. 3, the provision of technical assistance to division-funded programs, including the development and dissemination of instructional and programmatic practices based on the most rigorous or scientifically valid research available, the role of eligible providers as one-stop partners, and assistance in the use of technology. And 4, the monitoring and evaluation of the quality of and the improvement in adult education and literacy activities, and the dissemination of information about models and proven or promising practices within the state. Permissible activities. In addition to the required activities, there are other activities that are allowable with this funding. You can examine the full list of permissible activities in WIOA Section 223. To meet the purpose of WIOA and the Pennsylvania State Plan, PDE has identified 7 priorities. They are professional learning opportunities, technology, communications, management information system and eData tech support, workforce development system liaison, digital literacy and distance education, and integrated education and training, also called IET. We will review each priority individually in the forthcoming slides. For each priority, a maximum level of funding is specified. Applicants should apply for funds up to the maximum amount. Applicants may apply for less than the maximum dollar amount. However, agencies are not in competition to provide services at the lowest cost. The goal is to provide the most comprehensive services to ultimately increase the success of students in adult education and family literacy programs through supporting the program improvement and professional development efforts of those programs. When deciding whether to apply, applicants should consider whether they will be able to provide the services and activities described under each priority within the maximum amount available. No additional funding will be available. We will now review each priority in more detail. Priority 1 is professional learning opportunities. One grant of up to $700,000 will be awarded to coordinate, develop, and deliver high-quality professional learning opportunities to improve the quality of instruction in and to provide technical assistance to adult and family literacy education programs funded by the Division of Adult Education. This grant will be the linchpin of the system, responsible for providing learning opportunities using multiple delivery methods. There is a wide range of skills and knowledge required of staff for this project. Appendix A of the Request for Grant Application Guidelines provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Read Appendix A carefully to ensure a full understanding of the details of this project. Priority 2 is technology. One grant of up to $475,000 will be awarded to provide instructional design and technology support to other leadership projects to create and revise high-quality online professional development opportunities and to provide technical assistance in the use of instructional technology to other leadership projects funded by the division. This project will work closely with the other projects to ensure that professional learning opportunities follow good instructional design principles and incorporate and utilize technology effectively. Appendix B of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Priority 3 is communications. One grant of up to $100,000 will be awarded to manage the dissemination of information and resources to provide knowledge to staff of adult and family literacy education programs funded by the division. This will include managing a website, and the requisite skills to do so are required. Appendix C of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Priority 4 is the Management Information System and eData Tech Support. One grant of up to $165,000 will be awarded to support the use of the eData system and provide technical assistance on its use to the division and to adult and family literacy education programs funded by the division. The eData system is used by all direct service providers for data collection and reporting. Appendix D of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Priority 5, Workforce Development System Liaison. One grant of up to $275,000 will be awarded to provide technical assistance to align workforce development programming within the adult education system, build capacity to address WIOA, and function effectively as a partner in the Pennsylvania Workforce Development System, to the division, other leadership projects, and adult and family literacy education programs funded by the division. Appendix E of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Priority 6, Digital Literacy and Distance Education. One grant of up to $300,000 will be awarded to provide technical assistance to provide support to adult education and family literacy programs funded by the Division of Adult Education in planning, implementing, and evaluating the distance education portion of their programming and in improving the digital literacy of instructors and students. Appendix F of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. Priority 7, Integrated Education and Training, IET. One grant of up to $75,000 will be awarded to provide technical assistance in the development of IETs to adult education programs funded by the Division of Adult Education. Appendix G of the RGA provides detail about activities and staff requirements for the grant to be awarded under this priority. The appendix also contains a scoring summary, which gives scoring information for each section of the narrative. The appendices provide more detailed information for each priority. Review this information carefully. In addition to project activities, the appendices provide specific information on education and experience requirements and the scoring summary. The scoring summary is provided to give applicants information on the point totals available for each section in the narrative portion of the grant application. Applicants for this funding must have documented experience in the delivery of services that are outlined for the individual priorities for which they are applying. Each applicant's experience with proposed activities will be considered when making funding decisions. Successful applicants will be required to submit documentation that verifies experience and education requirements have been met. All successful applicants will have experience in the following areas: adult learning, the federally funded adult basic and family literacy education system, professional development and training for educators, and technologically delivered professional development. The application consists of a narrative and budget section. The narrative section provides a description of how the specified activities will be carried out, staff requirements, and methods for evaluation. Each priority has a separate grant application with different questions that are specific to that priority. The narrative is the basis for analysis of the applicant's ability to provide the required services. Each question in the grant application has a help button that provides information about the content of a high-quality answer. The budget is not scored, but must demonstrate fiscally sound allocation of funds to provide services and activities. Additional information on completing this section can be found in Section 600 of the Division Guidelines. Grant recipients may be asked to revise budgets during the grant contract review and approval process. All applications will be reviewed except for those that are incomplete or not completed by the application deadline. Grant applications will be reviewed and scored by teams of 3 reviewers. Reviewers will be screened for conflict of interest and will not benefit financially from grant awards. See the scoring summary for each priority for information about scoring for each section of the grant applications. The grant period will be for 1 year, July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. With the option to renew for up to 3 additional years. Funding for the renewal years will be negotiated annually and provided through annual contract renewals. PDE reserves the right to shorten or extend the 4-year grant cycle as the situation warrants. Each year's renewal option and grant amounts will be based on several criteria, including the amount of the annual appropriations. Funds will be awarded to the highest scoring applicant for each priority, provided the applicant meets the minimum scoring requirement. Minimum scoring requirements are in the appropriate appendix for each priority. Successful applications may require revisions or submission of additional information prior to approval. Grant applications must be submitted through the eGrants system. As the first step in ensuring access to the eGrants system, prospective applicants should send an email to ra-able@pa.gov with the subject line, Division of Adult Education Grant Competition. In the body of the email, prospective applicants should state the agency name and identify which Division of Adult Education grant the agency plans to apply for. Prior to sending the email, the applicant should search for the agency record in the PDE Education Names and Addresses database, also called EDNA. Agencies found in EDNA should include in their email their administrative unit number, AUN, and contact information for the individual at the agency who will create and complete the grant application. Agencies not listed in EDNA should indicate in the email that they are not in the state database and provide contact information for the agency administrator who will work with division staff to establish a listing and be assigned an AUN. Under extraordinary circumstances affecting an agency's access to the eGrant system, the requirement to submit the grant application via eGrants may be waived. Eligible applicants who believe they have such circumstances should contact the Division of Adult Education at ra-able@pa.gov prior to the application due date to discuss an alternative submission process. Please note that the application deadline still applies to any alternative submission process. There are several resources available to assist grant applicants. The RGA provides more detail on everything we have covered today in this webinar and is available on the Division of Adult Education Grant Competition webpage. The division guidelines and policies also provide detailed information on completing the budget section and other pertinent information governing all division grants. Questions regarding the Federal State Leadership 099 application process must be sent to ra-able@pa.gov. The subject line of the email should state the specific priority, or if it is a general question, the subject line should say General 099. Division of Adult Education staff will post responses to submitted questions on the Division of Adult Education Grant Competition webpage for all applicants to review. The deadline for applications is March 26th, 2021 at 2 p.m. All sections must be marked complete, evidenced by a check mark next to each section, and the complete button must be chosen. No late applications will be accepted. The timeline for the Federal State Leadership Grant applications is as follows. Grant applications will open on March 1st, 2021. Applications will close at 2 p.m. on March 26th, 2021. Once grant applications have been chosen, but prior to final award, the successful applicants will be required to provide proper signatures to the grant agreement and complete the Funding Accountability and Transparency form located in the grant in eGrants. Read the RGA and division guidelines carefully. There is detailed information regarding electronic and manual signatures that specify who is an authorized signer of the grant agreement. If you receive an award, follow these procedures carefully. Throughout the process of application and award, grant status is available by checking in eGrants. There are several requirements for award winners. Award winners are responsible for following all division guidelines and policies, as well as the requirements of the PDE Master Standard Terms and Conditions, Education Department General Administration Regulations, EDGAR, and the Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, and Audit Requirements for federal awards. All grants have required fiscal reporting described in division guidelines, and the leadership projects must also submit quarterly and final narrative reports and have regular meetings with the division advisor. Please read all documentation carefully. If you have any questions regarding the application and award process, submit questions to the ra-able@pa.gov email address. The subject line of the email should state which priority you are asking about. Division staff will check this account regularly and post answers in an FAQ on the Division of Adult Education Grant Competition webpage. PDE staff will not respond to questions in emails sent to any other email address or to questions via phone calls. All questions must be submitted to the email address on the slide. Thank you.